Hey there, Griff Hamlin here from Blues Guitar Unleashed. Welcome. Thanks for joining me. In today's video, we're going to talk about how to start and how to end blues songs. Now, this comes from, I do, most every year I do a live event where, guys can come in, guys and gals, of course, come in and play with my band. And of course, they have to start songs and end songs and do all this kind of thing. But recently I've also been to what we commonly call a regional jam. A bunch of Blues Guitar Unleashed members will just get themselves together and have a jam session. And it's really fun, and it's really, it's kind of one of those things that I love about playing music, is playing it with other people. But of course, you have to be able to explain to the people on the stage, or whoever you're playing with, if you go to an open jam or whatever that might be, you have to be able to explain how the song is going to start and how the song is going to end. Most of us know that in the middle it's probably going to be a 12-bar blues, maybe it'll be an 8-bar blues, and we can talk about those kinds of things later. But for this video, I want to talk about how we're going to start it and how we're going to end it. Now, the starting, I'll say, options. Let's say we have a blues in G, right? So I'm going to be based around my G here. Now, obviously the 12-bar blues form is going to have 4 bars of that, 2 bars of that, back to 2 bars, and we're going to go through all of that. The last 4 bars of the phrase, right? The 5 chord, the 4 chord, the 1 chord, and the 5 chord. Those are the end, the last 4 bars of the 12-bar blues. If we have a tag, that is usually what we mean by that. So it's not uncommon to begin a song with something that we can also use at the end, which is a tag. So it's basically taking the last 4 bars of the form and putting them at the beginning. Okay, that's a great way to do it. So you could say, hey, we're just going to start from the 5. Great, okay, no problem. And we'll play the 5, however that's going to be. Even if it's fast. Right, so I'm just playing it kind of slow. And the 4, and the 1, and the 5. And that's a great way to start your blues song. You can also start it from the top. Oftentimes we tap the head, meaning from the top. So literally, we're just going to start. We're just going to start from beat 1 of the form, and off we go. Now, a lot of times when you start from the top, somebody will take a solo, right? So you might say, hey, we're going to take it from the top. You take the first 12, meaning, the first time through the form, that person's going to take a solo, and then you might start singing the vocal verses that come after it. So we have from the 5, we have from the top, and we have another common option, certainly not all of them, but one of the more common ones is a vamp, a 1-chord vamp. So you can say, for example, I forget what song it was that came up recently that did this, but he wanted to just play the 1 chord for a few bars, and once the singing starts, that's the beginning of the form. Well, we call that a 1-chord vamp. So you can say, hey, we're gonna, if our song is in G, we're gonna vamp on the 1. And once I start singing, that's going to be the top of the form. And so then he starts singing, and it's a quick change form, right? And all that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you might have 8 or 10 or 12 or 16 or however many bars up front. And once the vocal starts, everybody knows, hey, that's beat 1 of the form, and it continues on from there, right? So that's how you can start a blues song. And that's 3 of the most common. That'll get you through an awful lot of different options. Of course, there's a few others out there, but that'll get you through the bulk of them. Let's talk about ending it. Now, again, we talked about those last 4 bars, right? So let's say we're playing a kind of a slow blues, mid-tempo blues, right? We have the 1 chord and the 5 chord, right? So one thing that might come up is you might say, hey, I want to tag the ending. Okay, so when you say I want to tag the ending, we'll do that 5, we'll do that 4, we'll do that 1, but instead of going back to the 5 chord, we're not going to do that, because we're going to repeat that, and we don't want to end with a 5 only to then begin again with a 5 chord. So we'll do that 5 chord, that 4 chord, that 1 chord, and we'll stay on that 1 chord. And then for the tag, we'll go back to the 5 chord and we'll go back to the 4 chord. Now the ending, the most common ending, is sort of a little blues walk-up, and it always starts from the 1. And I'm specifically not going to put the tab for this because I want you to pay attention to how it's made. You got to look at the 1 chord, right? So we have the 1 chord, in this case is a G, right? But it could be B flat or C or anything, right? Or E, doesn't matter. The G is going to go from the G to the 3rd, which in this case will be B, up a half step to the 4th, up a half step to the flatted 5th, up a half step to the 5th. So we have the 5 chord, the 4 chord, and then what we're going to do is this ending is going to replace the last 2 bars, okay? This is something that I saw a lot at a recent jam session where the people felt like the ending was after the end of the form. The ending of the song takes the place of the turnaround the very last time that you're going through the form, right? So you're, again, going from that 5 chord to that 4 chord. But when it's time for the ending, usually somebody, raises up a fist or says, here we go, or whatever. It's going to be, we're going to do that walk up, okay? So it's, if we're in the key of G again, we have that 5 chord to the 4 chord. And then we're going to do that walk up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and 2. Now usually the time gets a little bit slow right there, but notice that I'm just going from a half step above my 1 chord to my 1 chord. It could be 9th chords, it could be 13s, it could be up here. Okay, it doesn't matter how you choose to play it. It's what I call the blues half step ending. It's just we take the chord half step above and we slide into it. And it's 2 and is where that happens. Now again, you kind of got to watch the band. You got to watch the drummer. If it's a jam track, it's probably not going to slow down very much. But in a real live situation with real players, it's likely to kind of slow down. 3, 4, 1, bloop, bloop, blah, blah. Right? We're going to get that in there. If we were to do it in a different key, let's say we were in a key of A. We have the 5 here, up the E, down to the 4, and we do the same thing. 3, 4, 1, 2. Could be a key of C, and we're playing the G, the 5. One, 2, 4, 1, 2. Right, and even though I'm playing the chord down here, it doesn't matter. It's in C. I could play it on this string set. Right, it doesn't matter whether I start at a 5th string or a 6th string root. It's always the same. D chord, E, and it could be a shuffle. Okay, it can be faster. It doesn't have to necessarily be slow. Okay, that is just a very, very, very common way to end a blues song. It's not the only way, of course. There are some that are more elaborate, some that are less elaborate, but it is a very good way at a jam. It's likely that everybody's going to know how that works. And so as soon as you start playing, if you're the person leading, you're going to have to do that probably kind of loud, right? You can say, like, here's the 5, and you maybe hold up your arm to say we're stopping, and then really dig in so they know, hey, this is the end. It's almost like doing a solo sometimes. If you have to sort of steer that train, as I like to call it, into the station, you have to make sure that you're going to take charge and do it. And this is a fantastic way. Most players, drummers, bass players, keyboard players, whatever, when they hear that riff, they know, okay, oh, that's it's time to end. This is what we're doing. Yeah, I got you. Like that'll work out. Okay. So again, this is a couple of common beginnings, right, from the 5. And then you start. You could take it from the top, meaning just right from bar 1, beat 1, off you go, and you can have a 1 chord vamp. And then of course we have a very common ending. And just remember that that replaces the last two bars of the form. So you'll have the 5 chord, the 4 chord, and then the riff. And it can be in any key. Doesn't matter whether you start on the 6th string or the 5th string. It'll always work. It just works. It's just one of those great ones, okay? And again, these are not the only options, but they are very, very good options. So before you come to me in the comments and say, oh, there's a whole bunch of other ways. I know there's a whole bunch of other ways. I do have a course, How to Build Blues Songs, that does have a lot of this kind of stuff and has a lot more options. But I want to make sure I kind of give you the main ones that'll get you through a jam. So hope you dig it. As always, if you have guitar playing friends that you think would like this video, I hope you'll share it with them. Maybe I've answered some questions. As always, I'm Griff Hamlin from Blues Guitar Unleashed, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.